Let's talk about what no one's saying out loud. Not because it's a secret, but because most people simply don't have the depth to understand it. If a woman thinks you're bad in bed, it's not always about your technique. It's about your presence. It's about your energy. It's about the connection you failed to create. You can memorize every move from every video you've watched or every piece of advice your friends gave you in the locker room. But if you're disconnected from her emotionally, spiritually, mentally, she's going to feel nothing. Do you understand that? She craves depth, not performance. Most men are trying to impress her. Real men try to understand her. You come into her space carrying ego, expectation, entitlement, and you wonder why she looks at you like a stranger. Because you are one. You never bothered to learn her language. You never paid attention to the way her body shifts when she's vulnerable, to the way her silence speaks louder than words. You're not a bad lover because of what you're doing. You're a bad lover because you're not listening. You never ask what she likes. You never slow down enough to feel what she's feeling. You're not even present. You're chasing validation instead of connection. You're in your head, not in the moment. She can feel that. Women always feel that. A woman doesn't want to be conquered. She wants to be seen. She wants a man who can hold her body and still respect her boundaries. A man who doesn't rush. A man who doesn't treat her like a checklist. A man who knows that pleasure starts with trust, safety, presence. A man who doesn't just ask what turns her on. He studies her. He learns her rhythm, her fears, her fantasies. He makes her feel like the only woman in the world, not because he says it. And let's get real. Intimacy is not just about touch. It's about the conversation before, the energy between. If you're emotionally numb, you're never going to satisfy a woman who craves depth. If you lack integrity, it doesn't matter how smooth your moves are, she's going to feel empty when it's over. Because you gave her your body but kept your heart locked away. And don't confuse dominance with arrogance. Real masculine energy doesn't overpower, it grounds, it protects, it holds space for the woman to open up fully. Without fear, without pressure, without judgment. Because here's the truth, most women aren't afraid of intimacy. They're afraid of intimacy with someone who doesn't know what to do with it. Someone who doesn't deserve it. So no, she didn't say anything. She didn't want to hurt your pride. But deep down, she walked away feeling misunderstood, emotionally starved, unfulfilled. Not because she's hard to please, but because you never gave her a reason to surrender. If you want to be good in bed, be good outside of it first. Build trust, be emotionally intelligent, learn patience, communicate like a man who values her heart, not just her body. Because when a woman feels safe, she blooms. When she feels seen, she opens. And when she trusts you, truly trusts you, you will experience a version of her that no technique could ever unlock. When it comes to intimacy, there is one crucial aspect that far too many men fail to understand: emotional presence. It is easy to think that intimacy is just about the physical act, the movements, the technique, the rhythm, or the performance. But let me tell you something, the true magic, the real connection happens when you bring your full emotional self into the moment. And that's where so many of you fail. You come into the bedroom carrying your ego, your distractions, your insecurities, your checklist of things you think need to be done, but you leave out the one thing that could truly change everything: yourself. You see, intimacy is not just physical, it's deeply emotional, spiritual, and mental. A woman's body is a reflection of her soul. And if you are not emotionally present with her, if you are not truly there with her, all she will feel is a lack of connection. She will feel like an object, a prop in your performance. She will feel like something you need to win or conquer, rather than someone you need to experience in her entirety. This disconnect, this emotional absence is what kills intimacy, because intimacy isn't just about touching skin, it's about touching her heart and her mind. Think about it. How many times have you been physically present with someone but emotionally distant? You might have been in the same room, but you were mentally somewhere else, maybe thinking about your work, your problems, or even how well you were doing in the moment. And how many times has a woman sensed that you weren't truly with her? That she was there physically, but you weren't really there emotionally. She could feel it. She could feel that your mind was elsewhere, and it made her feel unimportant, invisible, even lonely. This is why so many men go wrong. They think intimacy is a transaction. They think it's about giving something to get something. They think it's about performing, ticking boxes, or following some idea of what should happen in the bedroom. But a woman doesn't want your performance. She wants your presence. She wants to feel like she's the center of your world in that moment. She wants to feel that she matters to you deeply, not just in the way you touch her, but in the way you look at her, listen to her, and honor her as a person, not just an object of desire. Emotional presence means being aware of her. It means noticing her subtle cues, the way her body language shifts when she feels safe or insecure, the way she might close off or open up, the way her breath quickens when she feels a deep connection. When you are emotionally present, you are attuned to her needs, her wants, her desires, not just physically, but emotionally as well. You don't just take her body, you learn her soul. You don't just try to get off, you try to bring her into the moment with you. A woman is not going to be emotionally vulnerable with you if she doesn't feel emotionally safe with you. Emotional presence is a form of respect. It's about respecting her mind, her heart, her boundaries. It's about looking into her eyes, listening to her, and validating her feelings. When she feels that you are truly there, truly invested in her, emotionally present, that's when intimacy deepens. That's when she will allow herself to fully open up to you. That's when she will give you all of her body, mind, and soul. But if you come in with your own agenda, if you come in thinking it's all about what you need, what you want to accomplish, then you've already missed the mark. If you're emotionally absent, she will sense it immediately. Women are intuitive and they pick up on emotional energy faster than you can imagine. She will know if you're not genuinely there for her. If you're just going through the motion, she might smile, she might say everything is fine, but deep down, she will feel the distance. And that emotional distance, no matter how hard you try to close it with physical closeness, will always be there. So many men go through life thinking that physical intimacy is all that matters. They might learn all the right moves, they might have great technique, they might know how to touch her in all the right places. But if they are emotionally absent, it doesn't matter. Women don't care how much you know or how many techniques you've mastered. They care about how you make them feel in the moment. They care about how you see them, how you listen to them, how you show up for them. Intimacy starts before you even touch her body. It starts with a conversation. It starts with you looking into her eyes and showing her that you are present with her, that she is the most important thing in that moment. It starts with creating an atmosphere of trust where she feels safe enough to let down her guard and let you in. This is something that many men miss. They think it's all about the end goal, but the truth is, intimacy isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. It's about the moments of connection that happen between the start and the finish. The moments when you both let go of your walls, your fears, your insecurities, and simply be with each other. The emotional presence you bring into the bedroom will either make or break your connection. If you are emotionally distant, she will feel it. If you are emotionally unavailable, she will feel it. But if you are emotionally present, if you truly take the time to learn her, to understand her, to honor her needs, you will unlock a level of intimacy that is beyond anything you could ever achieve through performance alone. You want to know the real secret to being good in bed? It's not about your body or your technique. It's about your heart. It's about bringing your whole self into the moment. It's about creating an emotional connection that transcends the physical. Women want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. They want to feel safe. When you can provide that, when you can give her your emotional presence, you will experience a level of intimacy that goes beyond the physical realm. And that is where true satisfaction lies. So the next time you're with a woman, don't just think about what you're doing to her body. Think about what you're doing to her heart. Think about whether or not you are truly present, whether or not you are truly connecting with her emotionally. Because if you aren't, then all the technique in the world won't matter. If you are emotionally absent, she will feel it, and she will remember it long after the moment is over. Emotional presence is what creates intimacy. It is what deepens connection. It is what transforms a simple physical act into something truly beautiful. So if you want to be good in bed, learn to be emotionally present. It will change everything. When it comes to relationships and intimacy, one of the most misunderstood concepts is this: she craves understanding, not ego. Too many men think that the way to a woman's heart is through dominance, flashy gestures, or showing off their strength, status, or abilities. They believe that the more they assert themselves, the more she will fall for them. But here's the hard truth: women don't want your ego. They want you to understand them. And if you don't understand her, you'll never truly connect with her, no matter how much you try to impress her with your power, money, or achievements. When a woman enters a relationship, she isn't looking for a man to prove his worth to her. She isn't looking for someone who constantly needs validation. What she's looking for is someone who truly sees her dreams, her fears, her strengths, and her vulnerabilities. She wants someone who takes the time to listen, who makes the effort to understand her at her core, beyond the surface level interactions and physical attraction. Women are not fooled by grand gestures or superficial acts that scream ego. They crave deep emotional connection. They want to be understood, not admired. The truth is, ego gets in the way of real connection. When a man brings his ego into a relationship, he puts up walls that prevent genuine intimacy. The ego wants to be seen, to be admired, to be validated. It wants attention, applause, and recognition. It thrives on praise and needs constant reinforcement to feel good about itself. But ego does not build lasting connections. It creates walls between two people who could otherwise share something deep and meaningful. Ego keeps a woman from feeling truly seen because instead of focusing on her, the ego is focused on how well you are being received. A woman doesn't need a man who is always talking about his successes or putting others down to lift himself up. She doesn't need a man who constantly needs to prove his worth through actions that scream, "Look at me." She doesn't want someone who tries to make her feel small so that his own sense of importance is amplified. No, she wants someone who sees her as she is, not as an object to be won, not as someone to be controlled or fixed. She wants someone who listens to her, who is curious about her mind, her heart, and her soul. She wants someone who isn't afraid to be vulnerable, someone who can set aside his pride and his need to control the situation and instead focus on understanding her. Too many men make the mistake of thinking that showing off is the way to a woman's heart. But let me be very clear, she does not need you to impress her, she needs you to understand her. When a man leads with his ego, he misses the mark because he isn't truly seeing her as a person. He's only seeing her as an object to be won, a prize to be earned, or a reflection of his own status. But women are not trophies. They are complex, multi-dimensional human beings with their own stories, struggles, and desires. They don't need someone who is constantly trying to prove how much they know or how capable they are. They need someone who takes the time to understand them on a deeper level. Understanding a woman isn't just about knowing what she likes or dislikes. It's about understanding her emotions, her fears, her history, and the way she sees the world. It's about being able to read the unspoken signals, the subtle shifts in her body language, the quiet moments when she needs support, the times when words aren't enough and she just needs you to be present with her. This is the difference between a man who is driven by ego and a man who is driven by love and understand. Think about the times when a woman has felt truly cared for. When was it? Was it when a man showed off his achievements or told her how much he could provide for her? Or was it when he listened to her without judgment? When he supported her dreams? When he truly validated her feelings and her experiences? When she feels truly understood, that is when she will feel a deep emotional connection to you. That is when she will open herself up to you completely, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. But that can only happen when you lay down your ego and take the time to understand her for who she truly is. The ego wants control. It wants to dominate, to lead, to be the one who's always in charge. But real relationships are not about control. They are about partnership, about mutual respect, and about understanding each other's needs. When a man leads with ego, he often forgets that the relationship is a shared space. It's not about him winning. It's about both of them coming together, creating something that is greater than the sum of its parts. Ego doesn't leave room for compromise, for growth, or for empathy. But understanding opens doors. It creates space for vulnerability, for growth, for love. And that is what a woman truly craves. When a man steps back from his ego and starts to understand the woman in front of him, he becomes more than just a lover. He becomes a partner, a confidant, a safe space. He becomes someone she can trust, someone she can lean on, someone who will be there for her in the quiet moments, the hard moments, the moments when words fail. And that kind of connection is built on understanding, not ego. When you understand her, you are able to show her compassion in a way that goes beyond just physical affection. You're able to validate her feelings, to support her dreams, and to love her for who she truly is, not for who you want her to be. The thing about ego is that it makes everything about you, but love, real love, is about her, is about seeing her, hearing her, and validating her in a way that makes her feel like she is the most important person in your world. And that's the kind of love that a woman truly craves. Not the kind that makes her feel small, insignificant, or invisible. Not the kind that is built on comparison, competition, or superficial validation. She wants the kind of love that makes her feel seen. When you understand a woman, you start to realize that she is not a puzzle to be solved. She is a human being to be cherished. She is a person with emotions, hopes, dreams, and fears. She is someone with a past that has shaped her, with desires that are unique to her. And the more you understand her, the deeper your connection becomes. Because when a woman feels understood, she feels safe. And when she feels safe, she opens herself up to you in ways that no amount of ego or grand gestures could ever achieve. So if you want to win her heart, if you want to create a relationship that is built on trust, love, and respect, then put your ego aside, stop trying to impress her, and start trying to understand her. Ask her questions, listen to her stories, understand her fears, her dreams, her vulnerabilities. Create a space where she feels comfortable being herself, not because she has to impress you, but because she knows that you see her and accept her for who she is. When you lead with understanding, you create a relationship that is deep, fulfilling, and lasting. And that is something no amount of ego will ever be able to create. True masculinity is often misunderstood. In a world where traditional gender roles are constantly being questioned and redefined, the concept of masculinity has become one of the most complex and controversial topics of our time. Many people associate masculinity with dominance, strength, or the ability to control situations. But true masculinity is not about exerting power over others or building an empire based on fear or pressure. True masculinity is about creating a space of safety, security, and trust. a space where a woman feels valued, respected, and free to be her most authentic self. The pressure that many men feel to conform to societal expectations of masculinity often leads them to misunderstand what it means to be truly masculine. Society tells men that they need to be strong, aggressive, and unyielding, that to be a man, they need to be dominant, always in control, and always the ones who make the decisions. This narrative can be suffocating, not only for men, but also for the women they are in relationships with. It creates a dynamic where both parties feel pressured, where the woman feels as though she must constantly live up to a certain standard of perfection, and the man feels as though he must constantly prove his worth by leading and controlling everything. But this kind of dynamic does not build intimacy or connection. In fact, it destroys it. It creates an environment where neither partner feels safe to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, or to express their true feelings. True masculinity, on the other hand, creates a sense of security, not just for the man, but for the woman as well. When a man is secure in his masculinity, he is not threatened by the strength of a woman. He does not feel the need to dominate her or put pressure on her to conform to his ideas of what she should be. Instead, he creates a space where she feels free to be herself, to share her thoughts, her fears, her dreams, and her vulnerabilities. And that is where true connection happens. At the core of true masculinity is emotional intelligence. It is the ability to understand one's own emotions and the emotions of others, to regulate those emotions, and to use them in a way that fosters connection, trust, and mutual respect. A truly masculine man is one who is comfortable with his own emotions and does not feel threatened by the emotions of others. He knows how to listen, how to validate, and how to create a space where his partner feels heard and understood. He's not afraid of vulnerability because he knows that vulnerability is a sign of strength, not weakness. In relationships, this kind of emotional intelligence is crucial. A man who leads with emotional intelligence does not use force or intimidation to get what he wants. He does not make his partner feel small or insignificant in order to feel bigger or more important. Instead, he listens to her, he respects her, and he creates an environment where she feels safe enough to express herself fully. This is what creates trust. This is what creates intimacy. This is what makes a woman feel safe, not only physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Many men believe that to be masculine, they must always be in control. They feel that if they are not the ones making the decisions or taking charge, they are somehow failing. But true masculinity is not about control. It is about guidance, leading with love, understanding, and respect. A man who understands his role in a relationship is not someone who forces his opinions on his partner or tries to control her every move. Instead, he is someone who helps guide her, who offers his wisdom and perspective, but who also gives her the space to make her own decisions. He does not pressure her into doing things she is not comfortable with, and he does not make her feel guilty for having different needs or desires than he does. When a man creates an environment of safety and respect, a woman will naturally feel more comfortable opening up to him. She will feel more comfortable sharing her thoughts, her feelings, and her desires without the fear of judgment or rejection. This is the power of true masculinity, the ability to make someone feel safe, heard, and valued. A woman who feels safe in her relationship is a woman who feels empowered. She is free to express herself without fear of being silenced or dismissed. She is free to be her true self, to explore her passions and desires, and to be open to vulnerability without the threat of emotional harm. This safety does not mean that a man must always agree with his partner or that he must never challenge her. In fact, true masculinity is about being able to challenge one another in healthy ways, to grow together and push each other to be better versions of themselves. But a man who creates safety does so with compassion, with empathy, and with the understanding that his partner's feelings are valid and important. He does not belittle her or make her feel inferior when they disagree. Instead, he approaches conflicts with kindness and respect, looking for solutions that benefit both of them rather than trying to win the argument. True masculinity also means being emotionally available. A man who is truly masculine is not afraid to show his emotions, to express his love, or to communicate his needs. He does not shut down when things get difficult, or retreat into silence when his partner needs him. Instead, he stays present, he stays engaged, and he stays open. He understands that emotional availability is not a weakness, but a strength. It takes courage to be emotionally available, to show up and be vulnerable in front of someone else. But when a man is emotionally available, he is not just creating a sense of safety for himself, he is creating a sense of safety for his partner as well. Too often, men feel the need to suppress their emotions, to appear stoic or indifferent. They are taught that to show emotion is to show weakness, and that they must always be the strong, silent type. But the truth is, suppressing emotions only leads to tension, frustration, and distance in relationships. When a man is emotionally closed off, it makes it difficult for his partner to trust him or feel emotionally safe with him. She may feel like he is hiding something from her, or that he does not care enough to open up. This is where pressure begins to build. When there is no emotional safety, there is no emotional connection. And the relationship begins to feel like a constant battle for attention, approval, or affection. In a world that often prioritizes physical attraction and sexual chemistry, many people forget that true intimacy is about more than just physical touch. It's about being present with one another in every moment, both in the way you communicate and the way you make each other feel. Emotional intimacy, the deep connection that transcends physical appearance or sexual performance, is what truly sustains a relationship. It's what keeps the flame burning even after years of being together. And emotional intimacy is built outside the bedroom. Take the time to truly get to know your partner. Understand their fears, their dreams, their desires, and their values. When you take the time to learn about your partner on a deeper level, you create a connection that goes beyond the surface level. This is what builds emotional intimacy. It's not about being perfect or saying the right things all the time. So it's about being real with each other, being vulnerable, and creating a space where both partners feel comfortable enough to express their true selves without fear of judgment. Physical satisfaction in a relationship is often a byproduct of emotional satisfaction. When you feel emotionally connected to your partner, when you feel safe and supported, when you feel valued and heard, sexual intimacy becomes an expression of that connection. It becomes a way to deepen the bond between you, to physically show the love and affection you've built emotionally. When emotional intimacy is strong, sex is no longer just a physical act. It becomes a sacred expression of the love and trust that exists between you and your partner. Think about the last time you had an amazing, fulfilling sexual experience with your partner. Was it the physical act itself that made it so fulfilling, or was it the emotional connection that you shared beforehand? Chances are it was the emotional connection that set the stage for a satisfying sexual experience. When you feel truly loved and cared for, when you feel secure and safe in your partner's arms, that is when the physical connection becomes the most meaningful. It's not just about getting the act right or achieving an orgasm. It's about feeling seen, feeling heard, and feeling deeply connected to your partner on an emotional level. And that kind of satisfaction begins long before the bedroom door is closed. In many relationships, the pressure to perform in the bedroom can overshadow the importance of the emotional connection that needs to be nurtured outside of it. When there is too much focus on the physical act, it creates a sense of anxiety and pressure that takes away from the experience. Instead of focusing on the moment and the connection between you, you begin to worry about meeting expectations, performing well, or living up to some ideal of sexual perfection. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and disconnection, which ultimately undermines the satisfaction you experience in the bedroom. The key to satisfaction then is to focus on building a deep emotional bond with your partner outside of the bedroom. When that bond is strong, the physical aspects of the relationship naturally follow. This doesn't mean that physical intimacy is unimportant, far from it, but it does mean that when emotional intimacy is prioritized and nurtured, the physical aspect of your relationship becomes more fulfilling and more satisfying. You begin to connect on a deeper level, not just in terms of physical attraction, but on a level that is far more meaningful and lasting. Moreover, satisfaction in a relationship is about understanding and respecting each other's needs. Every person has different desires, and when you take the time to understand what your partner needs, both emotionally and physically, you create an environment where both of you can thrive. In many cases, satisfaction comes from simply being attuned to each other's needs and making an effort to meet those needs in a way that is loving, respectful, and genuine. When a partner feels understood and respected, it makes them feel more confident and secure in the relationship, which naturally leads to greater satisfaction in every aspect of the connection, including the physical. Another important aspect of satisfaction that begins outside of the bedroom is communication. Healthy communication is the foundation of any strong relationship. Without open, honest communication, misunderstandings and resentment can build up, which creates distance and disconnection between partners. When you are able to communicate openly with your partner, not just about your needs, but about your feelings, your dreams, your frustrations, and your joys, you foster a deeper sense of connection. This kind of communication creates a sense of security in the relationship. And when both partners feel secure, they are able to experience satisfaction in ways that are emotionally, mentally, and it's also important to recognize that true satisfaction is not just about the moments spent together, but about the overall relationship dynamic. It's about creating a relationship where both partners feel appreciated, loved, and valued on a daily basis. It's about taking the time to nurture the relationship through small acts of kindness, affection, and thoughtfulness. This constant attention to the emotional and mental aspects of the relationship builds a foundation of trust, respect, and mutual understanding, which creates the environment necessary for both partners to experience true satisfaction, both in and outside of the bedroom. In the end, satisfaction in a relationship isn't just about physical attraction or sexual performance. It's about emotional connection, mutual respect, open communication, and creating a space where both partners feel safe and valued. When these aspects are prioritized outside the bedroom, they create the conditions for deep, meaningful satisfaction in every area of your relationship. So the next time you're thinking about how to improve satisfaction in your relationship, remember this. It all starts outside the bedroom. Build the emotional foundation, nurture your connection, and the rest will follow naturally.